Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're jumping into a really cool project called the Healthcare Helper. Its whole goal is to bridge that massive, confusing gap between complex medical data and, our ability as patients to actually make sense of it all. So let me ask you this. Have you ever just stared at a prescription bottle, trying to figure out what the instructions really mean? Or maybe you've gotten a lab report back and it's just a sea of numbers and acronyms, leaving you feeling totally in the dark? It happens to all of us, and that's exactly the problem we're digging into today. All right, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll talk about healthcare's big information problem. Then we'll look at a pretty smart AI-powered solution. After that, we'll see the system's specialized agents in action, and we'll wrap up by talking about what this all could mean for you. So let's get to the heart of the issue. In today's world, we are swimming in health data, right? It's coming from our fitness trackers, our medical records, everywhere. But here's the catch. Having all that information doesn't mean we understand it, and that's the real challenge. This is a textbook case of what's called information asymmetry. Now that sounds super technical, but it's a pretty simple idea. It just means you have the data, say a lab report, but you don't have the years of medical training to understand what it actually means. It's like someone handing you a single puzzle piece, but you've never seen the box with the final picture. All right, so how do we fix this? Well, a system called the Healthcare Helper was built to do just that. It's an AI assistant, and it's powered by Google's Gemini 2.5 Flash model, which is a large language model that's really, really good at processing huge amounts of info super quickly. And this isn't just your standard search bar. Oh no, the project uses something much more advanced called a multi-agent system. The best way to think about it is like a team of highly trained specialists, where each one has a very specific job to do. So how does this team of specialists work together without tripping over each other? Well, under the hood, it's using something called a router architecture. Just imagine an incredibly smart traffic cop. When your question comes in, this router looks at it, figures out what you need, and sends it to the perfect agent for the job. System super efficient. We've talked about the setup, the architecture, but let's get to the good stuff. How do these agents actually perform? Let's put these specialists to the test and see what they can really do. So first up, we have the doctor assistant. Now, this agent is designed to be a safe, non-diagnostic guide to help you figure out what to do next. Okay, let's take a really common and kind of scary symptom, like chest pain. If you type that into a search engine, you know what happens. You get a fire hose of terrifying information. But this agent is way smarter. It uses what's called context-aware reasoning. It doesn't just see the words chest pain. It actually asks follow-up questions to understand the situation better before it offers any advice. And here's where it gets really useful. Instead of just that chaotic list of every possible disease, the agent gives you structured advice. It'll say something like, okay, based on what you've described, here are some immediate actions to consider. And it might even suggest the right kind of doctor to see, like a cardiologist. It basically turns all that confusion into a clear, actionable game plan. Next up, we have an agent built to solve that classic pill bottle problem. This one is called the prescription reader. Come on, we've all been there, right? Squinting at a doctor's prescription note, trying to make out that chicken scratch. It's not just frustrating, it can actually be dangerous. This agent is designed to tackle that problem head on. So check this out. All you have to do is upload a photo of the handwritten note. The agent uses multimodal vision, which is just a fancy way of saying it can see and understand images, to read the handwriting. It figures out the drug name and then translates everything into simple instructions and, crucially, any major side effects. It's basically like having a pharmacist right in your pocket. Of course, when we're talking about health, you have to be accurate. So how does it avoid making mistakes? The system uses a really clever technique called Google Search Grounding. It essentially double-checks its answers against trusted medical sources online. This acts as a critical safety net to prevent AI hallucinations, when AI just makes stuff up, and make sure the info you're getting is legit. Okay, and for our final specialist, let's look at the report analyzer. This agent is built to tackle those super dense, table-filled medical reports. You know what I'm talking about. You get back a blood test report, and it's pages and pages of tables and medical terms. It's just a wall of text and numbers that feels impossible to get through without a medical degree. What's so cool about the report analyzer is that it's designed to understand the geometry of these documents. It doesn't just read the words, it gets the whole table structure. So it can intelligently parse the entire report, see which results are high or low, and pull out the most important data points for you. But here's the magic. It doesn't just stop at extracting the data. It gives you what you could call a consultant's summary. It points out the key findings, like high cholesterol, and can even suggest some relevant lifestyle or diet changes. It actually turns that meaningless data into a story that you can understand and act on. So we've seen what these different agents can do. Let's zoom out for a second and think about the big picture. What could a system like this really mean for all of us as patients? At its core, the healthcare helper is all about transformation. It's about taking that raw, complicated, and honestly intimidating medical data and turning it into something clear, simple, and most importantly, something you can actually use. And that really gets to the heart of it. Like the project says, it's all about bridging that gap. It's about empowering patients by giving them the understanding they need to be an active participant in their own health journey. And that leaves us with a pretty big question for the future, doesn't it? As this kind of technology gets better and better, could AI become a kind of personal health translator for every single one of us? It's a really exciting possibility to think about. Thanks for tuning in.